Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, and today is Monday, the 8th of January 2017. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. I'm recording this just after getting up, so my voice is still a little bit croaky. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm sure in 5 or 10 minutes it'll be fine. So first of all, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the first podcast episode in 2018. I hope you all had a very nice and joyful celebration of the new year. Today I'm going to be talking about some administrative first, followed by finished objects, works in progress, quite a bit of stash enhancement, and possibly life in general. Today I'm not going to do a commercial sock yarn review just because I have quite a bit of knitting to show you guys. And also I was supposed to draw the prizes for the Challenge Cal 2017, which ended on the 31st of December, and the thread has been closed, but quite honestly I just haven't had the time to draw prize winners, and I just wanted to get an episode out today because we have quite a busy day planned ahead, and then we'll be gone again tomorrow. So more on that later. But I will record another episode, most likely on the next Sunday, which is the day before I go back to work, so that should be fine. So I will try to both draw the prizes then and do another commercial sock yarn review. So sorry about that. I hope you guys aren't disappointed or anything. You will get your prizes, I promise. We have so much to do today, so I just wanted to get started with the podcast as soon as possible, and drawing prizes always involves like showing you everything, and I have so much stuff already ready to show you guys. So yeah. Also, we have a Ravelry group, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast group, and that's where you'll find all the future knit-alongs and show notes and all kinds of things that are somehow related to knitting and the podcast and whatever. So please feel free to check in over there. You can find me on Instagram as the Happy Knitting Podcast, which I rarely mention, but I'm quite active on there, and that is where you'll most likely get, updates, and if my podcast is delayed or anything like that, you will most likely find it on there. Also, I have a Ravelry account, of course, and my username on there is Wupfi, which is WUEPFI. What is going on with my voice? I'm so sorry, you guys. I hope it's going to improve sometime soon. So let's just jump in with some finished objects. Yesterday night we got home and I set up for my podcast and realized I had 6 works in progress, which is kind of insane. So I did finish one. So my most recent finished object is my Christmas Eve cast on. First of all, it's a pair of socks. This is how much yarn I have left, so I've used almost all of the yarn, which makes me really, really happy. And the yarn that I used for my Christmas Eve cast on is a Jinx yarn. It's my first time knitting with her yarn, and I really, really love it. It's the Magical Girl colorway on her, I think it's just called sock base. It's a merino nylon blend. And I have a finished pair. But I have quite a few socks on sock blockers today, so I have only put one on the blocker, but this is what my finished Christmas Eve cast on socks look like. I think it's also the first, is it? Oh, just forget that. So these are the socks I knitted and I cast them on the 24th of December and finished them last night. These socks are for me. I knit them on US size 1, 2.25mm needles. I used 64 stitches, and because I didn't want to knit plain stockinette, what I did was a 6x2 rib. So I started with a 2x2 rib and then knit the entire sock on a 6x2 ribbing, and I put in afterthought heels, for which I always use the tutorial provided by Kirby Werby on YouTube. So I now have 2 finished socks. They are matching, they match completely, which makes me really happy. Sometimes I try not to match and sometimes I really want them to match, but this time they do match, and you can see the difference with the ribbing on the sock. It is stretched out, and if it's not stretched out without a sock blocker, these socks look really, really tiny, but trust me, they do fit. They are both the same size, just one is stretched out and the other one isn't. And I actually really like knitting sort of like 6x2 ribbing socks. They make for a really comfortable fit, and yeah. I obviously also really love the colors in this yarn. This was really fun to work with. It was one of these yarns that was almost a little bit too special to use, but I'm glad I did, and yeah, I can't wait to wear these. So these are my Jinx yarns. The next pair of socks that I finished are a pair of gift socks for my sister. You may know if you watched last week that I'm knitting both of my sisters a pair of Regia Anne and Carlos Perfect socks. I finished my younger sister, my youngest sister's pair last week, and this is the middle sister's pair, and they are done. So this is Regia in their Perfect Anne and Carlos range. I don't know the colorway, but it's the orange and purple one. There's only one that looks this colorful. So they're both done. And once again, both of my sisters have very small feet, which means that socks turn out a little bit different for them. So this is quite a long leg. I think much longer than the makers of the Perfect yarn have anticipated. But I have followed the pattern, and of course if you cast on less stitches and knit a smaller sock, you have to knit more lengthwise to do the heel and the point that you're supposed to. Which also means that you're supposed to have a purple toe, but my sister's socks ended up with an orange toe because I didn't reach the purple part. But anyways, these are done. They're so fun. I really enjoyed working with this yarn, which I talked about last week. I did not put them on a sock blocker because they're too small for my sock blockers. But I think my sister will love them, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn. And for these I did 60 stitches. Actually, no, I did 56 stitches for the ribbing, and then I went up to 60 stitches for the rest of the sock. So that's my second finished object for this week. My third finished object has been finished and worn and washed, and now it's ready to show you again, but not as pristine as when they were first finished. And these are my MCN socks. So it's a merino nylon cashmere base, and this yarn was dyed by me by my lovely friend Hazel, who I think might be selling her yarn sometime this year. If she does, I will definitely let you know. And like I said, it's a merino nylon cashmere yarn. It's my second time knitting socks with a MCN yarn. The first time I knit socks out of sort of leftover MCN yarn I had from a shawl. And they were sort of my test if I would like cashmere socks. And they didn't hold up very well. But I'm really happy I tried again, because this yarn is entirely different, and I have worn these and washed these, and while my other socks were kind of very fuzzy and falling apart, these ones definitely aren't, and I really enjoyed wearing these. So yeah, I think I will keep on knitting MCN yarns every now and then for socks, because having socks out of a cashmere yarn is really nice, and now I do get what the fuss is all about. So yeah, these are vanilla socks. So again, I did 64 stitches. I did my usual garter stitch heel. I get so many questions about this. You can use garter stitch on any short row heel. I tend to use the fish lips kiss heel and garter stitch simply because I do the fish lips kiss heel anyways. So I have that memorized, but you can use any sort of wrap and turn, whatever short row heel, and just knit the purl stitches and you will have a garter stitch heel. I really love the tiny speckles, and you can see I've worn these and they still look absolutely pristine. And I've worn these like in my winter boots and around the house, and I haven't been very precious about these, and they're just beautiful. So thank you again, Hazel, for gifting me that beautiful yarn, and yeah, I'm very happy about these. So that's it for my finished objects. So I will go into works in progress, of which I have many. What should I start with? I'll start with the socks, so I can get those out of the way and we can kind of work ourselves up to the more interesting projects. So let's see what I have in here. Oh yeah, this is a relatively new cast on. One that was completely unnecessary because I have like so many works in progress, but I didn't care. The yarn that I'm using for this is a yarn by Felt Fusion, who I've talked about before. Sorry about the messy cake. There you go. Felt Fusion is a UK dye that I really like, and this is one of her Christmas colorways. It's called Komodo Christmas. I don't know the reference. But anyways, I decided to just keep Christmas going and cast on a Christmas yarn after Christmas because I don't care. It's in her High Twist Merino Nylon Sock yarn, which is my favorite base of hers. And I cast on a vanilla sock. Well, I should say I cast on I think 4 different patterns with this one, and each time on it maybe like down to here, and then I ripped it out, and then I started again and I ripped it out, and that was to the point where the yarn was getting quite worn because I kept on ripping it out. So in the end I stuck with vanilla, and yesterday I was down to here and I kind of thought about ripping it out again, ribs, and doing a 3x1 rib, but that would be insane. So I'm just going to keep going and stop second guessing myself. So I did I think 22 rounds of a 1x1 rib, and then just a plain vanilla stockinette sock. And how fun are these colors? And they just, I don't know, they're just hilarious to me. They look like little Legos, except for the pink, which I don't think is in Lego. But it's just such a fun colorway. I think I don't know any dyer that dyes such colorful yarn, and it's just a really fun yarn to use. So I am about ready to put in the heel. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can tell you about these. I'm using my Hiya Sharps, and I might actually take these with me because we are going on a trip, and that trip will include some long train journeys, so I'm going to take lots of socks. So that is my first work in progress. By the way, have you noticed I have one of my many Gilmore Girls themed garments on? In here I have my New Year's Eve cast on. I think quite a lot of you guys cast on with me for a New Year's Eve cast on. I've done this for a couple of years, but I don't think I came up with the idea. I think I just thought I did. So besides some spare needles in here, before we went away, I wanted to take some yarn for a Christmas, for a New Year's Eve cast on. And I couldn't decide, so what I did is I pulled out all of my hedgehog fibers, which are mostly club colorways from my club subscription in the fall, and I chose the most crazy one that I had. So this is the yarn that I used, or this is the finished sock I should say. And like I said, this is a club colorway. It is called Playground, and it is super neon-y and fun. It is in their standard sock base, which is a 90% merino, 10% nylon blend. And I have now finished the first sock. So I think they are just amazing. You know how much I love hedgehog fibers. So what I did is I cast on a plain vanilla sock. Again, I did 1x1 ribbing. It's weird. Usually I always do 2x2 or maybe a 1x1 twisted rib, but lately I've just been into a simple 1x1 rib. Again, I think I did about 22 rounds, and then a relatively long stockinette leg, heel, and just a very plain vanilla sock. And I didn't have any sock blockers left over to show you the sock on a blocker. But anyways, really, really fun. Really enjoyed working with this yarn. I have just cast on the second one. I'm not very far, but you can see the colors. They're just beautiful. Like, I don't know how Hedgehog Fibers does it, but to put that many colors into one sock yarn, and they're also vibrant and beautiful, I just love it. So again, this will be perfect tray knitting, and I'm pretty sure this will be coming with me on our trip tomorrow. Yeah, I have lots of socks to show you guys. I'm sorry about that. My last pair of socks to show you is a bit of a random cast on as well, and includes some acquisitions. So I have been buying quite a lot of commercial sock yarn lately because we were just traveling a lot, and that's what you tend to find when you're traveling in yarn stores. And I have been somewhat using my commercial yarn reviews as an excuse to buy yarn that I haven't used before, like commercial brands that I haven't tried. And one that I came across that looked really interesting is this one. It's by Gründel, who I believe is a German sock company. It's Gründel Hot Socks in the Rubin base. And this is a merino, bamboo and polyamide base. So it's 50% merino, 25% viscose or bamboo, and 25% nylon. This is colorway number 2. And I just thought it looked really fun, and also the base just felt really interesting. It feels really soft, and it has a bit of a sheen, which I presume is the bamboo content. So I decided to knit Kai a pair of socks, and I basically cast these on and had the first sock finished about 24 hours after buying the yarn. So this is what the finished sock looks like. Isn't this a fun sock? Isn't the patterning just really, really, really fun? I did a plain vanilla sock, as you can see, but for the first time I decided to try Mina's mini heel flap adjustment. Mina of the Knitting Expat. She has created sort of like a heel flap that works with a short row heel. And I just thought that looked really interesting. I've had the pattern for ages. And Kai's socks tend to be sort of tight in this area, whereas they're too loose at the top and the bottom. So I have decided to go down stitch count wise. So I did 64 stitches instead of 68. But then do this heel flap adjustment in the hopes that then he would have more room here and the socks wouldn't be too loose anywhere else. So I followed Mina's instructions, and I'm not sure if you can even tell, but it has worked out really well, and the socks seem to fit him very well as well too. So you can see the heel flap is here, and then you have like a tiny gusset. And I think this might solve some of my I didn't have any problems, but this might just improve Kai's socks a little bit. You can see now it's too loose on the blocker, but that's not a bad thing at all. So I will let you know how that goes. And in terms of the yarn, this yarn has been such good quality. I'm really, really impressed with this commercial yarn. This is probably the softest yet somewhat durable commercial yarn that I've seen so far. It is much softer than a Regia or Opal, I think. And it just looks really pristine. Like, look how beautiful the stitches look. I really, really like it so far. I will let you know how this yarn will wear and tear and wash and all that. But anyways, the first sock is finished. And the second one is somewhat halfway down the leg. So again, vanilla sock knitting. Again, I might take... I think I'm going to end up taking all of my works in progress, and that would be insane. Anyways, this is where I am with the second sock, and I'm really enjoying it. This yarn is so soft, you guys. I really like it. Yeah. So that is it for socks, and whoops, covering my microphone with my hair. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. All I have now left to show you are my sweater projects, which I am so excited about, you guys. First of all, last week I already told you guys about my idea to knit a faded boxy sweater. And boxy is a sweater by Hohi Locatelli. Well, that was a good one. And oh my gosh, I'm just losing it. Like I said, I just got up, I have not had any coffee, I have not had breakfast, and I'm somewhat suffering from that. I am knitting the fingering weight boxy. There's also a worsted weight and a V-neck boxy, I believe. But I just decided to go with the simplest one, and obviously fingering weight, since I am using some sock sets or fade sets out of sock yarn. And the sock yarn that I'm using is by Shibot Garne, who I've talked about many times. I really love their yarn in their soft sock space, which is like the softest sock yarn ever. And it's an 80-20 blend, and you can see I used a Trio Ocean, which was 3 skeins, and then I had one very similar skein in my stash from the same company in the Waterfall colorway. So these 4 skeins together gave me a fade set. Or at least that's what I created out of it. So I will try to hold it up. You can see this is the fade that is going to happen. And the second ball, this one here, is the one that doesn't belong to the set. But I think it works quite well, and it's going to be a beautiful fade. So let me show you where I am with this sweater. So this is what my sweater looks like so far. I have made quite a few adjustments because while this sweater is crazy wide, it is supposed to be much wider, so I followed some of the tips from other people's project pages and modified it in terms of the number of stitches I cast on. I did also cast on less stitches and then increased. I also did a 2x2 ribbing rather than a 1x1 ribbing, but all of that is detailed in my project page, so I think rather than boring you guys with the number of stitches I used and so on, if you're interested, just check my project page and you will find all the information there. But you can see I have completely knit the first color and since faded into the second color, and I'm going to keep going until I have about, I think, 10 grams left of the second color. And then I will fade using stripes, like 5 rows of, or 5 times. So I will knit a row of the old color and then a row of the new color and do that 5 times and that will leave me with about 5 grams left over from each yarn to then hopefully have enough to knit the sleeves. At least that is the idea for now. I might change my plan, but that's what I've been doing so far. So you can see I'm about halfway up the body. I think the original version is kind of cropped, but I want to use as much yarn as possible, and so mine might be a little bit longer, and I don't really care. For this one, I should say I don't swatch, which I know is so terrible, and I know you shouldn't do that, but I don't care. But for this one, I just kind of measured my gauge while I was knitting, and I hit the gauge pretty well, but it doesn't really matter anyways, because it is an oversized sweater, so who's really going to care? But yeah, really enjoying this, especially since I got my new needles. You may have seen this on Instagram. I forgot like all the things when we went away on our most recent trip. And one of those things was needles. So I took my sock needles and I took sock yarn and I took 2 sweater quantities of yarn, but I didn't take any needles to knit those sweaters. So I went to a local yarn store the next day and just wanted some simple 3.5mm needles in, I think, 40 or 60 inches. And they didn't have any, so in the end I had to buy some not very good needles from a local yarn store, and then panic ordered these because I've been wanting and needing to get some proper 3.5 needles anyways. So you might know, if you've been watching for a long time, this is my favorite brand of needles for shawls and sweaters. This is Adi Lace. Adi, I think, yeah, it's a German company. So their lace needles, they're really nice. So I just ordered some 3.5mm US size 4, I believe, in the 100 centimeters, which I think is a 40-inch cable. And since I have these, I've just been flying through this sweater. So that is my first sweater that I'm knitting. Like I said, I have modified it. I think I'm theoretically knitting a small size, but like since I've changed all the stitch counts, I'm not really sure. I just want a nice boxy sweater and I think it's going to be fine. So that is my first sweater project, and if you think this project bag is sad, wait until you see my next one. Again, I took needles, I took yarn, I didn't take any project bags for sweaters, and I actually don't have that many large project bags, so I'm not even sure if I have any that would fit these sort of huge projects, but this kind of works. I think this is an old bag from Wollmeise. So yeah, I think it's actually quite fun if you think about it, to have sort of like a see-through bag where you can see your project. So who knows, maybe I just keep using this. And then my next project I'm super proud about. And isn't that the saddest project bag in the world? Sorry for the crinkling. Like I said, I didn't have any project bag. So this is what happened. So before I show you, let me tell you a bit of the backstory behind this. First of all, my one knitting goal for 2018 was to knit at least one color work sweater. So that was always in the cards, and I always kind of hoped that I would start it in a holiday in January, just because I knew I would have lots of time to devote to this. And then I went to a yarn store in Kempten, which I always go to when we're on holidays down there, and that for me is a bit of a sort of hidden paradise, because I always find like really fun projects there. So I found my fate there, as I said, a couple of months back now. I think in early summer 2017 I found 3 skeins to knit myself a faded sweater, and then last time I went there I found my Let Lopi on sale, which is also going to be a color work sweater. And this time I found my Sunset Highway sweater. So the Sunset Highway sweater has been a really popular colorwork sweater that everyone and their grandma have been knitting, and I'm sorry to be jumping in and doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, but I found some yarn that I just thought would be perfect. So, sorry, yarn going everywhere. So the yarn that I found was a very affordable commercial sock yarn, which is perfect because Amy Florence of the Stranded podcast is hosting a commercial yarn along, so this is perfect. And this is a tweed sock yarn. This is by Lana Grossa. It's in their Meilenweit range, and it's their tweed base. It's 80% wool, 20% polyamide, and all these colorways only have numbers. So I have listed all of these in my project page, again on Ravelry, so you can find all the details about the colorways on there. But I got 4 colors, and you can see all of them have different colored flecks of tweed. This one isn't really showing up, but it's really beautiful yarn. It is sock yarn, it is commercial yarn. I will say, if you're at all sort of sensitive, don't buy this for a sweater because it is kind of scratchy. I think it's not as scratchy as you would think it is, but like I said, if you mind a little bit of an itch factor, this might not be your thing. But anyways, I was so excited to find this and decided to straight away cast on my Sunset Highway sweater. And again, I did not swatch. I just went for it. So I think you're supposed to use a 2.75 millimeter needle for the ribbing, which of course I didn't have. So I just used my sock yarn, sock needles, which are 2.25 millimeters. And then for the body, I used my 3.5 millimeter emergency needles that I bought at the yarn store. And let me just show you the sweater. So, I've made quite a bit of progress. If you don't know the pattern, it is a top-down colorwork yoke sweater. So you start with the ribbing and do some short rows, and then you have this beautiful colorwork yoke. And I just flew through this. I think I finished this colorwork yoke in 2.5 days. I didn't knit on anything else, and yes, my hands may have cramped up terribly, but I just had so much fun. And I just really wanted to get to the next color, and yeah, I am so excited about this. Again, I think this is going to be a little bit oversized because my gauge tends to be quite big, and especially for the color work, I was super careful not to knit too tight because I knew that if I ever have to unravel this again, I will never knit it again. So I was really, really careful to knit loosely, and I think I've mostly succeeded. I also did a ton of floats, so I caught a lot of floats. So I know there's different opinions as to how many stitches you can knit in color work without catching your floats, but I just caught my floats all over the place because, again, the thought of ripping this thing out was just too painful, so I thought I'd rather do it right from the beginning. So this is what my color work looks like unblocked. I think it looks alright. I think blocking up obviously will help quite a bit, but so far it seems to be okay. This is what my insides look like. Or you can see where I wove in the ends. Maybe that's not a great way to show you guys. Here you can see my floats, and not sure what they're supposed to look like, but I was really careful. I was also very mindful to always catch my floats on different points rather than always at the same point, because I've heard that that's bad, and I think it's worked out really well. So now I have separated for the sleeves. The sleeves are on waste yarn at the moment. And I am now just knitting down the body in stockinette. And so this has become a very, very mindless knit. And I'll just show you, can you see the flecks of all the different tweedy bits? I think this is just so much fun. And yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I really enjoyed the color work section, and I was happy to start with that because I think that gave me lots of motivation. And now I'm also really happy to just have to knit stockinette in the round and not have to think about it at all. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the color work on the sleeves as you're supposed to. Lots of people have been changing it. I've also seen one person on Ravelry who made this really oversized and didn't do any more color work, but instead just really long sleeves and sort of like boxy sort of sleeves, and that looked really comfortable and cozy as well. So I'm not really sure about how I will style the sweater and how I will finish it yet. I might just make up my own thing. But anyways, I'm really, really proud of this, to be honest. And yeah, it feels good to start the year off already doing something that I was planning to do sometime in 2018. And now I'm so bitten by the colorwork bug. I'm so sure I'm going to knit many colorwork sweaters this year. So I'm really, really excited about that. So excited that apparently I can't speak English anymore. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so that is my last work in progress and also my second sweater on the needles. And I could not be happier about it. And it looks really good on screen. I didn't realize that. You know how when you sit too close to a project, you don't really realize how good it looks? Yeah, very excited. Very, very excited. So that is also my last work in progress. So I guess we'll move on to acquisitions. And first of all, I have to show you the cutest thing. I haven't even said thank you to the recipient yet, or to the person who sent this to me yet, because we got home from a 10-day trip or 9-day trip last night. We were in the Alps, near the Alps, and we got home and I had a letter from Bulgaria, and I was really intrigued because I didn't really know what to expect. And then a lovely friend of mine, look what she sent me. She made me a card with a knitted sweater on it. Isn't that just genius? Look at that. Isn't this just so beautiful? Oh my gosh, this made me so happy and was such a cute surprise that I got. And this is from Ilse. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And she is the one who has the Share My Passions Etsy store. She has previously donated stitch makers to the podcast, and she's also sent me some. She makes some really fun things, and I just wanted to show this off to you guys because this is so cute and so much work has gone into this, and I just really appreciate that. So thank you so much. All the other acquisitions that I have to show you are commercial sock yarn that I got while we were in Allgäu. So I just picked up commercial sock yarn everywhere I went. Obviously the yarn that I used for my Sunset Highway sweater was part of that. And otherwise, like I said, I tried to buy some different brands of commercial sock yarn just to keep on reviewing commercial sock yarns, and just because it's the perfect excuse, isn't it? So first of all, yes, I bought 3 balls of one. I guess it's the same yarn that I'm using for my sweater, except it's not the tweed range. So this is Lana Grossa, again, in their Meilenweit range, which is their standard sock yarn, and this is an 80% wool, 20% polyamide base as well. But like I said, this is the tweed and this is the normal sock yarn, and you can see it looks and feels quite different. This one with the tweed is much more rustic than this one. But anyways, I just thought the colors were fun, so I picked up a couple to try and knit some commercial socks. So this one is in their confetti colorway range, and they have a little picture, so I'm not really sure. It's going to be some kind of self-patterning. The colorway is 2513, and I just thought this would be fun. I might knit these for Kai. Or maybe Kai's dad, because on Christmas, Kai's dad told me he would like some hand-knit socks, which was so cute. So who knows? I also picked up from the same range this one. These colors are very much me. This is colorway number 2503. Again, very fun, and you can never have too much commercial yarn, can you? And the last one, I'm not really sure if that was a good choice. It's a really fun one, but it's kind of not, I don't usually buy these sort of marled yarns, but I don't know, somehow the colors just wanted to come home with me. This is in the Colorado range, and it has this sort of hand-spun look to it, and it's colorway number 6909. So these are the 3 yarns I picked up from Lana Grossa, and I will sooner or later knit these up and give you guys some kind of review on them. I also, when I picked up the Hot Socks Gründel, the Merino Bamboo yarn for Kai socks, this one, they had another base, so I decided to take home a ball of the other base as well, just so I could try both. So this is Gründel Hot Socks in their Modena colorway. It says 4-ply superwash. And this is a 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide blend. So it's a different blend as this one. And apparently this was a really new colorway. She said she only had a couple of these in. It's colorway number 8. And I just thought the colors were really, really pretty. So I picked this up to try as well. And again, this yarn feels really soft. It feels softer than Regia or Opal do. So I'm very curious about this. Again, this could be for Kai's dad, this could be for me, this could be for anyone. But it feels really nice, and I'm looking forward to working up these stripy yarns. Then I also picked up, and I didn't pick these up all at once. I went to the yarn store a couple of times, if that makes you guys feel any better. Actually, I got this skein for free. The yarn store in Kempten has a deal where if you get 5 skeins of sock yarn, you get 1 for free. And since I bought 5 balls of yarn for my Sunset Highway sweater, that meant I could essentially just pick a skein of sock yarn of my choice and get that for free. So I decided to go with yet another brand that I don't think I've tried before. This is Schöller und Stahl, another German sock yarn in their Fortissima sock. I've seen other people knit with it, but I don't think I've ever knit with it myself. And it just looked really fun. Look at these colors. This is colorway number 8043. Does it have anything else on here? It's a 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide blend. It's a normal sock yarn. And again, this feels quite soft. And I just thought the colors were so fun. Like, this has to be a fun pair of socks knit up. So yeah, really, really happy with that. And then my last purchase I made was a somewhat unnecessary one, but I have no regrets. So I don't know about you guys, but do you guys do that thing where you buy something in order to save money and you're not really saving money at all? Well, when we go to Kempten, we always park in a sort of big department store in their parking, and then when you buy something, you get parking 50% off. So yes, I did spend money to buy yarn to then save like €1 or something, which is super stupid and doesn't make any sense. But I picked up another skein of Regia, Anne and Carlos Perfect because I've been raving on about these. So they had this one in stock, and I just thought the colors looked really fun. Again, this could be a pair for Kai, it could be a pair for his dad, it could be a pair for me, I'm not quite sure. But it's another one which I think is just going to be a lot of fun to knit up, or if I don't want to knit up, it will be a great gift or whatever. So you can't really go wrong with that. And also I really like that sort of bright blue. I think I don't have anything in my stash that looks this sort of vibrant blue, so I picked this up as well. So yeah, and that is my mountain of commercial sock yarn that I picked up over the last 10 days or so. Talking about commercial sock yarn, you might remember that for 2017 I hosted the One Ball with Love Cal, which was a knit along to knit commercial sock yarn, and I set out to knit 12 pairs of commercial socks in 2017, so roughly 1 pair a month, because I wanted to use up my commercial sock yarn. And I have forgotten again, but I counted, I think I had 16 or 18 pairs finished of commercial socks. So I definitely met that goal. I'm really, really happy about that. The thing is that now I have bought so much commercial sock yarn, so at least the idea of reducing my commercial sock yarn stash definitely has not worked, but you know what, I don't care. But I wanted to thank all of you guys who have joined in, because if you go visit the thread, there are so many people. I was so amazed how even like once I kind of forgot mentioning it and stuff, you guys just kept on joining in and showing off beautiful socks, and it was very, very interesting and inspiring to knit more commercial yarns. So even if you haven't participated, maybe check out the thread, because there's so many socks in there and they're so beautiful. So thank you guys for joining in. And I've posted this question in the thread as well, but I'm not really sure. Do you guys want me to close the thread and finish this, or should we just keep it running because you guys are enjoying it, or should we open a new thread? Yeah, let me know. But this is kind of insane, isn't it? Oh, well. So that is it in terms of my knitting content of this show. So all that's left to talk about is just some life in general talk, which I haven't done for a while. So I just thought I'd check in with you guys and talk to you about what's been going on. So if you're only here for the knitting, then thank you so much for watching. I will see you again very soon. And if you do want to stick around, well, thank you. So last week when I recorded, we just got back from our annual family trip. So each year over Christmas, we visit both my family and Kai's family, and it's very intense, but also very, very nice, and we really, really enjoyed it. And pretty much as soon as I finished recording last week's episode, we were off again. We drove down to Allgäu, which is a region near the Alps in Germany, about 1.5 hours from here, where we are super lucky to be able to stay there whenever we want, because Kai's parents have a little holiday apartment down there, which they don't use. So we stayed there for over a week, and we spent New Year's Eve there, and we just had such a good time. We were quite unlucky weather-wise, so skiing didn't work out, and a lot of time we were actually kind of stuck inside because the weather was just so terrible and stormy. But that did mean I had lots and lots of knitting time, so it was really, really, really lovely. So we got back last night, and today we have a super busy day ahead because we're going to go to IKEA and fix a couple of things in our apartment. So that's going to be very fun, but also quite busy. And then tomorrow we're off again. So for Christmas, my lovely boyfriend Kai gave me a trip to Vienna. It's going to be a 3-day trip. We're taking the train down there, and I am so excited. I have been telling Kai about Vienna for ages because my grandparents took me on a trip there when I was 13. It was my only ever trip with my grandparents, and it was also my first time flying on a plane, and I just have such good memories of that trip. So I'm super excited to go back. I think it's going to be lovely. It's also perfect timing, and if you know me, you know how I don't like to plan things, or that is really stressful for me. So the fact that Kai organized this trip and booked this trip, and I don't need to do anything but just get my bum in the train and do some knitting is just perfect. So I'm very looking forward to that. So we'll be back on Thursday, and then I will probably be recording a podcast episode on Sunday. I hope I'll have some kind of content for it, but I'm pretty sure I will. I might also be hitting some Vienna yarn stores. We will see. I already got some lovely recommendations from some of you guys, so thank you for that. So I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good week. I will see you soon. Thank you for watching again, and happy knitting. Bye!